I've been busy talking alone here.
Sorry, Chair. We are sick now. We are here, my darling.
Thank you, ma.
Good morning, Chair. We are
Morning,
here.
Chair. Morning, Chair.
Morning.
Morning, Chair. We here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, DM.
Morning, Chair. We are all here.
Ngiyabonga ma kanti nikhona nonke.
Yep.
Sikhona sonke, Chair.
Ibhizi ngikhuluma ngedwa. Ngiyakhuluma ngithi kanti angivulanga imic yami.
Hayi sikhona, Chair.
I'm aging, ne? Uguga kulayesi.
Chair, usulandela thina ke manje. Kodwa ke siyambonga uNkulunkulu nangayo leyo mpilo.
Kakhulu ma, kakhulu.
Yes.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Good morning, honorable members. You are all welcome. I declare this meeting officially open.
Recording in progress.
One, please. I declare this meeting officially open. We'll start from where we stopped last Tuesday. Emmanuel, today's meeting is about a continuation of a Tuesday meeting. Tuesday, we were getting a report from the department regarding the submissions that were made from their public hearings and from our oral and written submissions. So Emmanuel has presented some of them, but he will continue to present those that they didn't present on Tuesday. But maybe just to catch up, you can start with those that we have agreed upon, and then we will continue with the new things. And let's see whether what we have agreed upon with the portfolio committee on Tuesday is well captured by yourselves. And I think there were other things that we needed the state law advisors to give clarity and advice on how best can we capture them in the bill. And what else? Yeah, I think those are the things that we are going to do today. And I'm sure next week, if I'm not mistaken, we'll then deal with the A and the B list, if I'm not mistaken, next week, Tuesday. The staff will assist us. But Nelly, what are you saying?
No, person, I was going to say next week we are still going to must deliberate on this bill in terms of the changes that we've made, and then thereafter adopt the motion of desirability and the report public hearings. That is next week's meeting there, Tuesday, like we did with the council bill.
What are you saying with the persons with disabilities? Nelly, what were you saying about the persons with disabilities?
No, Chair, I was saying next week is deliberations on the bill. Then thereafter, consideration and adoption of the motion of desirability. And then thereafter, it's consideration.
Desirability. Oh,
yes,
Okay.
Yes, thanks, Chair.
Oh, okay. I thought you saying persons with disability. No, thanks, Neil. Okay, but Nelly, we need to deal with the other things next week. So we'll have to meet twice because we'll be running out of time. And we can't miss Ilo. A deadline that we have put for ourselves. Let's get apologies. I have one apology from the CEO of NYDA. He said he's in another meeting. He'll join us at 10. And then any apology?
Yes, Chair. Good morning, Chairperson, members. Good morning, Deputy Minister and delegation from the department and from the NYDA. Chairperson, I've received 2 apologies from the members of the committee. One is from Honorable Shongo, who's indicated that she's attending the public hearings on Older Persons Amendment Bill with the Portfolio Committee on Social Development in Free State. And then Honorable Sharif, she's in KZN today for party work chair. And then moving on from the NYDA, it's from the chairperson, Ms. Luwata and Ms. Pillay, who are traveling back to the country from China, Chair, and they will land later today. They could not join the meeting today. And the last one is from also Mr. Njajubana, who also cannot join the meeting due to work commitments, Chair. Those are the apologies that I've received. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, Honorable Sheriff did call me and saying today she'll be busy with a part work in Durban. Okay. Is Mr. Ndlela in?
Yes, Chair. I'm in the meeting, Chair.
Okay. Okay, Honorable Opperman is here. It's okay. Okay, Nelly, thank you very much. Honorable members, those are the apologies.
Chair, if I may be allowed.
Okay.
Minister has another commitment. I thought Sbusiso would have sent the apology, but I see Nelly didn't mention it. So I wanted to apologize for the minister. I was trying to call Sbusiso to find out, but he's not responding.
Okay.
And Chair, I will leave at 11. I have another commitment on the AU summit. The president will be hosting the AU summit on the 27th and 28th.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, DG. Honorable Pony.
Morning, Chair, morning, members, morning all on the platform. Chair, just a reminder, I'm busy with the process of relocating, but I will be in the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, you did mention that yesterday. We will, I know that you are relocating to Acacia. So, but you log in and we'll talk to you if there are other things that you need your contribution in whilst you're moving to another village. It's okay. Yeah, thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Chair.
Don't mind my voice, honorable members. I think my voice has got a problem since Sunday, but I'll get there. Don't stress. It's not a big thing. Let me start with Emmanuel so that we move faster. If we can be done by 12 or 12:30. Over to you, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. And good morning to yourself and to all the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. And good morning to the Honorable Deputy Minister, to the DG and the staff from the department and managers from the department. Also to the CEO or to the NYDA board members who are here, as well as the other executives. We are requested to speak largely to the issues, to start first with the issues that have been resolved, and I will try and start there, Chair. I think on Tuesday we discussed mostly input from the NYDA and also the decisions made by the Portfolio Committee. So I will start right there, maybe as a way of recap. So maybe let me start right at the top here to say that in terms of the age group of the board members, it was decided that the age group will remain at 18 to 35, as the current bill is communicating. And then in terms of Section 3, amendment of Section 3 of the bill, what was agreed, sorry, let me jump Section 3 because there was no, on Section 4 actually, in terms of the objects and functions of the agency, it was agreed that the list of functions, some of the things need to be kept, including the issue of the career guidance that the NYDA needs to do. So that's a decision that we've taken on board. It was also agreed that the issue of the supporting young unemployed people through a creation of a database needs to remain in the bill, and that is what we've taken on board. And then we also noted that a lot of the objects were repetitive, especially those that pertain to training. And then we agreed that they will be reworked in a way that communicates the objects better. And that is something that we've taken on board, Chair. Then on the section that speaks to the removal of the COO position from the Principal Act, it has also been decided that that position will remain there because the clause is broad enough to can allow for flexibility, Chair. And then in terms of Section 9, which speaks to appointment of board members, the following were resolved. Number one, the term of the board will remain at 3 years. The board will remain at 7, and also the executive chair and deputy chair will remain in the bill.
Honorable Chair.
Honorable Chair.
Yes, Honorable Masiko.
Chair, I don't know whether it's myself who's not seeing what Mr. Emmanuel is flighting on the screen. What we are seeing is an email. There you go. That's fine. Thank you, Honorable Chair. We can now see.
Let me humbly apologize for that. It means I just pressed the wrong window. Yes, this is the document I've been scrolling through. So I was on section 9 just to say that the issue of the executive chair and executive deputy chair will remain, and the issue of the ex officio members will also be included in the bill, and those two will be appointed by the minister from the department. That is what was resolved in the meeting. I think, Chair, broadly, that is what has been resolved thus far. You also spoke about the issue of, or maybe this one I'll leave it to the chair, or in terms of the convictions and crime, which disqualify a member from participating in the board, as is provided for in section 10 of the Principal Act. And I think I'll leave this one to you, Chairperson. But I can pause here in terms of what has been resolved, and then when I come back, I'll continue with the document where we ended on Tuesday. Thank you. Chair, I don't know, I think you might be muted.
Muted. Yeah, right, Emmanuel. Honorable Masiko, please come in. There was something that me and her we discussed. Masiko, can you?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning to your good self, the DM, and all the honorable members on the platform, as well as the colleagues from the department. Honorable Chair, I wish that we could speak on the issue of the scheduling of the Act itself. In the Principal Act, you would understand that the schedule of the Act is scheduled as Scheduled 1. But the understanding is that in terms of the amendment of the PFMA and the additional schedules that have been added, the understanding is that the NYDA now falls under section or Schedule 3. So, Chair, I wish that probably guided by the department as well as the NYDA itself, we could have a move that will assist in terms of capturing the schedule correctly and ensuring that the Act itself is amended to incorporate the new additional schedules in the PFMA. Specifically for the NYDA, we schedule it as, or we capture it as Schedule 3, as it is correctly captured or in line with that, the schedules that have been added to the PFMA. I'm proposing, Chairperson, a proposal that I wish to forward. I know that on Tuesday's meeting, one did not raise it, but having now looked at all the notes and also considered all supporting documents, I feel that we should now ensure that we are correcting it and making the correct amendment in terms of the scheduling. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Yeah, Honorable Masiko is correct. Honorable members, because we looked at it and we saw that there's a need that it must be aligned correctly. It must be put in correctly in terms of the scheduling of the NYDA Act. But the department must then tell us if we are not correct or is it the right thing to do. But also the state law advisors, who is from the state law advice office. Nelly.
Good morning, Chairperson.
Yes.
I'm Harriet Megwa. Thanks for the input that you have made on scheduling of the NYDA. We will proceed and investigate it thoroughly and inform the department and the committee accordingly on the scheduling.
You are from the State Law Advisor Office, ne?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Can you double check it today, Harriet? Because
yes,
Good morning, Chair. Ngizoshesha ukuphuma khona la ngiphuthuma khona indawo engiyona. Ayivumeli uzoqhubeka ngiyabonga. Ngabo mhlambe nje sekuya ko 11 half past ngizoxolisa unishiya phakathi ngiyabonga.
all right, Mam Kawula. Okay, Harriet, please check PFMA and check the schedule of NYDA Act now and what is there in the amended PFMA. Mam Kawula, cela ukuthi uvale mic yakho. Mam Kawula. Ngicela nimute Mam Kawula.
Uzuthi imali iphelile. Uzuthi imali iphelile.
Hey, ubani ICT asimutshele Mam Kawula.
Jesus. Sorry.
Okay, and then Dr. Penis and Mr. Kanako.
Yeah, thanks,
Just on this one.
Honorable Chair. Yeah, I would like to give the DG the opportunity to respond.
Oh, okay. DG.
Oh, thank you. My hand was up, but when you tasked the state law advisor, I lowered my hand. I wanted to support what Honorable Masiko was saying. Yes, all extensions of government are Schedule 3. Only Chapter 9 institutions are Schedule 1. And Schedule 2 are your energy, SABC and other institutions, but NYDA is Schedule 3A. So I wanted to support what Honorable Masiko was saying. Thank you.
Okay, any legal person from Parliament?
Good morning, Chair. I'm Suan Isaac from Parliament with my colleague Lola here. Chairperson, can we just check the scheduling and also get back to you?
Yeah, please check because that's what we saw with Honorable Masiko. So we felt that I think it's important to put it in the right schedule. Okay, just check before the end of this meeting, come back to us so that we finalize it.
Sorry, Chairperson, it's not me, so I have my hand up. I'm not sure if it shows on your side. Oh, okay. Okay, thanks, Chairperson. Good morning, Chairperson and members. I just wanted to actually confirm that currently in the PFMA, the NYDA is specifically mentioned as a Schedule 3 entity. It is there specifically, it's mentioned.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's a Schedule 3. It's in the PFMA.
Mamela ke wena sincede ngikuthi page band lento le.
Okay, let me see. Oh, I can't share the screen. Share.
Email to Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, okay, did you?
Yeah, email Emmanuel and then I put it on the screen.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Masiko?
Yes,
Honorable
Honorable
Masiko,
Chair.
your hand is still up. You wanted to raise something, or it's the legacy hand?
It's a legacy hand, Chair.
Oh, okay. Mr. Kanako, awuncede phela ususe le yakho kancane uzofaka le yaka Nondumiso.
Yes, Chair. I'm not sure if you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can see.
Correct. So as you can see, this is Schedule 3 of the PFMA, and under Part A here, you will see that if you go down on the list, the NYDA will appear.
Number 70.
No, this one is the National Development Agency. There's the National Youth Development Agency.
Oh, in number 90.
Number 90. Yes, Chair.
There we go.
Yeah, number 90.
There it is. So I think that confirms that it is in the Schedule 3A part, Schedule 3A of the PFMA. So I've also been engaging our colleague Lisa from the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor. She's also looked at it to confirm.
Hambile electricity ngicela nizofaka ilo ibhetri le Wi-Fi. Hambile electricity ifakani ibhetri le Wi-Fi. Okay. So it means it's necessary. So let's put it correct. Because if go PFMA, it has been amended and to put as Schedule 3A, so that means it must be captured like that. Honorable members.
Yes, Honorable Chair. Hello, Honorable Chair.
Masiko, I'm saying we saw it in that document that was flighted by Mr. Khanach.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah, I think it must be put.
I think it doesn't give us the choice, in fact, Chairperson.
Yeah,
we have to amend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's no longer a by the way, or we are still going to check it's there. So let's put it correctly. Mr. Khanaka.
Yes, Chair, we will do so.
Yeah. Honorable Opperman, did you see it?
I saw it, Chair, and I'm happy. Thank you.
Mam Sonti? Mam Sonti? Mam Sengwa?
It's clear, sir. Clear, Chairperson.
Okay.
Chairperson.
Yebo ma bengithi ngiyabuza ukuthi niyibonile ngithi le document.
Yes, Chair, it's clear. Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's put it correctly. Dr. Penis DG, let's put it correctly. DM, ibonile nawe ne?
Ibonile, Chair. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We're done with that, the scheduling part of it. So the NYDA now is scheduled under section 3A, and then we'll remove schedule 1. You can continue, Mr. Kanaka.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. So at this moment, then I will go back to the matrix of comments that we have developed based on the oral and written submissions that were forwarded to us from Parliament. On Tuesday, we ended on page 19, which was speaking to submissions by the South African Youth Council. That is where we stopped. So I will continue right from where we stopped, and then continue like that. I will try and be brief so that I do not take too much time, because the document, I think we're still left with around 30 pages to go through, but I'll try and be brief in responding to the issues.
Yeah, try and be brief.
Correct. So the South African Youth Council had made a submission which speaks to two things. One, the fact that the bill is not talking about the promotion of youth participation, meaningful engagement. And they were saying that, I think they were looking at the Principal Act under Section 4 currently, which speaks about principles of youth development. That section has been removed from the bill. And we're saying that we've noted the comment where they're saying that we must add to that list the word meaningful engagement. But our response, we are saying that Section 4 has been removed completely from the bill because it is broadly about principles of youth development in general, which does not have a bearing on the establishment and functioning of the National Youth Development Agency. Again, they were saying that we must include the word processes to the decision making so that it can read as community and civic decision making processes. So this comment, the comment that I've just made, applies even to this particular submission because that section is no longer in the bill. It has been removed completely. They also submit that under the issue of establishment of offices of the agency at provincial and local level, we must substitute the text so that it's clear what is it that the act is trying to, the bill is trying to communicate. And I think this is one of the issues that was discussed and resolved in the previous meeting, where we said that the current provision in the Principal Act, which speaks about establishment of the NYDA's offices at provincial and local levels, should remain. So this is the comment, that the response that we are giving to South African Youth Council to say that that provision remains in the Principal Act so that the NYDA can remain flexible and be able to establish its presence and reach across all the districts and local municipalities in South Africa.
Yeah, we are correct. Because we said, in fact, NYDA must look at establishing offices in districts, especially in those provinces that are rural. So it must stay like that.
Yes, Chair.
You are correct.
They also make a submission that says that under Section 5.4D, there has to be, and they're proposing an inclusion of the word. So this one deals with funding that is done by the entity, the NYDA. So they're suggesting that the section must read that the NYDA must provide funding and capacity building to small, micro, and medium enterprises. In addition, they want us to add youth-led civil society organization and youth-owned cooperatives. Now, we are saying that we do not support that proposal because currently how the section reads is that the NYDA will provide funding in the prescribed manner to small, micro, and medium enterprises, to youth-owned cooperatives, to individual youth, to youth serving, and youth-led organizations that advance the agency's mandate. So it is our belief that this provision is sufficient to speak to the funding that the agency has to do and who it funds.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. I think that's what we agreed upon, and also as the portfolio committee, that how we have captured it in the bill now, it's correct. It must be like that. Not what they're proposing here. It's individual things, it's organizational, it will discriminate young people who are starting their own things. So how it's captured by the bill is correct.
Thank you, Chair. So under the section 5.3 of the Principal Act, there was this in terms of the objects, I think we've also debated this in the past few days, the issue of the policy, the term policy has been removed in the bill. So they were strongly recommending that the term must be returned into the bill. And then we are saying that we do not support this proposal. I think also in line with the decision that has been made to say that the portfolio committee has decided in the discussions this week that as the agency is a Schedule 3A agency, it is responsible, or it can contribute to policy development in the country. So that particular wording is the one that we're going to be including in the text of the bill going forward, so that it shows exactly what role the NYDA will be playing in the space of policy formulation for the country.
But Mr. Khanako, that one already we capture it according to how we said it in the portfolio committee. Yeah, so that it reads correct now. Don't say we are still going to correct. Just correct it the way how we put it on Wednesday, so that we don't go back and say whatever. So that the others that are following, you'll say, this one we've agreed as the portfolio committee that it will be like this.
We've already
how you
responded that
and
change.
this is how we've agreed. Yeah. Must be said the move from Mr. Khanako.
Yes. So I think maybe just to briefly say that the aim is not to take the decisions back. I do take the guidance that is saying that where issues have been resolved, let's rather say this is how they were resolved. But I'm also trying to balance like being transparent about what those organizations said. I know they might be watching and they might say, but you didn't speak about what our contribution was. So I'm just trying to balance what each organization has said. Some of the issues might be similar, but they were raised by different organizations. However, how the template is, it says that you must plug information according to each organization.
Okay.
Yes. So, but what I'll do, where the issue has been is coming back again, I will indicate that this issue is also raised by this other organization, and we know that it has been resolved, so that everybody who's watching can say, okay, they acknowledge our input, but they also have responded in a holistic way. So with your permission, I will continue, Chair.
Yes.
Right. And this is one of the other issues that has been raised even by other stakeholders, including the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, the issue of what what organs of state need to do to cooperate with the agency. We have resolved on this matter to say that within the IGR framework, intergovernmental relations framework, organs of state will work with the agency within their reasonable capacity and support the work that the agency is doing. So we are not supporting their proposal that everything that was in the Principal Act be retained in the bill, because it will not be taking the organization forward in terms of how it collaborates with organs of state and other stakeholders. Chair. The same comment applies. I think this is also under Section 7 of the Principal Act. They were speaking about how organs of state should be reporting to the agency. So that provision has also been amended in alignment with Section 41 of the Constitution, but also the intergovernmental relations framework legislation that exists in the country. So we are not supporting their comment as it pertains to 7.1b of the Principal Act. So under Section 7.3, they are recommending that the agency must lobby private sector and public organizations towards achieving the national youth development priorities. And we are saying to them that Section 2.1e of the bill already addresses this particular proposal. So that section speaks about collaboration with government, collaboration with private sector and civil society. So we believe that that is sufficient to cover the comment that they are making.
What was the Principal Act saying?
All right, let me just read it quickly. So the Principal Act was saying that the agency must lobby companies and close corporations which employ more than 20 employees and civil society organizations to implement youth development priorities established by it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the new one, you said what? In the bill, you are saying what, Mr. Kanoko?
So in the bill, if you look at the Section 2.1e of the bill, it says that the agency must lobby private, public, and civil society organizations towards achieving the national youth development priorities. So the spirit is the same, the essence is the same, just that the issue of companies with 20 people, etc., has been done away with.
Oh, so that it must not limit them to
Exactly.
a company. Okay. Okay.
So we supported one of their input where they're saying that the section, I think it's Section 8. Yeah, it's Section 8 that speaks to deletion of, there's a title there that says control and management. Right? It speaks to the functions of the board. So their proposal is that we must delete the word control and management and replace it with governance responsibilities of the board. We support that comment. I think it speaks to the fiduciary responsibilities and we will thus action it as such.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We agree with that one.
They also make a proposal that under section 9.2, the members must be appointed by the president on recommendation of the National Assembly and not Parliament. Our response is that this is already the case. The bill reads that members must be appointed by the president on recommendation of the National Assembly. So I don't know what the reason could have been for them to make the proposal. I don't know if they were looking at a different version.
Status quo remain?
Correct. Status quo remains. So on eligibility criteria, their proposal is already covered. I will also say the status quo of the bill will remain on this one because the bill speaks about the knowledge, the skills, and the experience that prospective board members need to have in order for them to can apply or to be considered for a position on the board.
Yeah.
So, Chair and members, there's also their input here that speaks to the definition of youth. It's also one of the first comments they raised, which we also address, because broadly, the bill now makes provision for the age group of the people, how old they must be, but also what happens if they turn 35 on the board. So on this one, we are saying that our response is that the bill is clear around what happens to young people once they reach 35. So the status quo will also remain on this one. It has been resolved.
Yeah.
So also on this one, that speaks to the issue of a chairperson's role. I think I spoke about this in terms of when I started earlier. So the chairperson's roles, what happens to the role of the chairperson if they are no longer able to fulfill their duties? Already the Act speaks about the fact that the deputy will step in. And so we are saying that there is a provision, even in this particular bill, for a whole lot of scenarios around issues of resignations, around issues of incapacity, around issues of disqualification. The bill makes various provisions of what must happen if this happens, what must happen if the scenario takes place. So our response is that the bill makes sufficient provision for the cases that are being raised by the organization. If the post becomes vacant, what happens, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And then, Chair, they were saying that they reject the amendment of the term of the board for 5 years. So I think they were looking at an old version of the bill. The current bill speaks about a 3-year board. So this comment is already addressed, Chair.
Okay.
Then they are saying that the amendment bill is silent on reappointment of previous board members, as well as the duration of terms that a previously appointed board member can serve on the board. So they also make a proposal there to say that a member of the board is not eligible for reappointment and may not serve as a member for more than 2 consecutive terms. So our response is that Section 9.6 of the bill mentions that members of the board shall not be reappointed for more than 2 consecutive terms.
Yeah.
But we go further to say that this provision does not imply that a member is automatically given 2 terms on the board. The National Assembly process of advertising and interviews will apply for board appointments.
Yeah.
So they are also saying that the NYDA board, in terms of demographics, has lacked diversity, and that their thinking is that the demographic spread that is mentioned in the bill and even in the act is left open to interpretation. Therefore, they are submitting that there needs to be a mention of race and gender in the amended bill, so that those variables can be included. And in our response, we are saying we don't agree. We are referring them also to the current board that is in place, which is quite diverse in terms of race, in terms of gender as well. And we are also saying that sometimes it might look as if there's a creation of quotas in a way, and some members might feel that, or they might even be accused of saying that you are only on the board because of this or that. We don't want people to be accused that they are only on the board because of their race, or they are only on the board because of their sexuality, or they are only on the board because of whatever. So yeah, we don't support that proposal. We believe that with what we are proposing in terms of amendment of the bill to say broadly reflect the demographics, it will ensure that the various vulnerable groups, the racial groups, persons with disabilities, can also be encouraged to apply and be considered to serve on the board.
And we agreed on that one.
We did, Chair. So they are also proposing that a member of the board must, before performing their functions, must take an oath or an affirmation to commit to freedom and fairness and freedom of expression and upholding the Constitution. So we are not supporting inclusion of this in the bill, because we don't think that, first, we think that ethical issues have been adequately provided for in the various subsections that speak to the board. So that is something like the board members have to do declarations, etc. They have to also align to what is provided for or enunciated in the National Youth Policy. So those issues of fairness and accountability are provided for already in the bill. And we don't think that taking an oath in itself will directly lead to integrity. So yeah, I think on this one, there are also other provisions that speak to what happens if a member is not ethical, what happens if a member is not accountable, what happens if a board member is not fair. There are repercussions that are provided for in the bill. So we don't think we necessarily need to add this oath. They are also asking that we elaborate on in the amended bill, under what circumstances an interim board will be appointed, and how that board will be appointed. So we are saying that Section 10(7) of the bill provides for these circumstances and also provides for the processes of appointment of an interim board. So we believe that this is already addressed in the bill, Chair.
The new bill, ne?
Yes, in the new bill.
Okay.
They're also submitting that Section 2 and 4 empower the minister to recommend a suspension of a board member to the president. They believe that this is an anomaly because the right of doing so should reside on the appointing authority. What we are saying is that we don't support the view, because as we know, the board reports to the minister, who reports to the president, right? It is not an anomaly for that minister who will be overseeing the affairs of the board to be the first to be aware of any deficiencies that are coming up. And her role is not to suspend the member according to the bill. Her role is to inform the appointing authority of the member of saying that this is what we are proposing based on the evidence that we have. It is only the president who can decide that a board member is appointed or sorry, is suspended. So we don't support their proposal here. Chair.
Chair, I have my hand up on this matter.
Okay, Masiko.
I'm so sorry, but it's just that I can't sprint to what is the current status in terms of AMA removals. What does the principal bill say, act say about the removals of or suspension thereof of a board member?
Yeah, if I can respond, Chair.
Yes.
Under Section 10 of the Principal Act, where it speaks of disqualification, removal from office, and resignation of members, in the beginning it speaks about the reasons why a person might be suspended, and then in subsection 2 it speaks about the process, and I'll zoom on this one to not waste time. It says that the president may, on recommendation of Parliament, remove a member from office if a member commits a misconduct, etc. So immediately you realize that there is a gap. It doesn't speak about suspension, the Principal Act. So it speaks directly to removal. So what the bill does then is to add a level of flexibility and due process, so that a member can be suspended while a process is undergoing. So I think this is maybe briefly what I can say, already it's saying the president may, and then it speaks about Parliament. So I think that
I have a follow-up, Chair.
Okay.
I would request that we look at this matter. One, Chair, I think we learn from our experiences. Currently, if you may be reminded, and Chairperson and honorable members, we are currently dealing with a situation in CGE in terms of some of the commissioners, or let's say commissioner. So, Chairperson, I think we must look closely at this clause and see how best we can be able to craft it in such a way that it assists the processes where you find in any situation a board member has acted out of what is required of them as a board member. So sometimes you find that AMA processes are delayed.
Yeah.
And unnecessarily so, but because there is no provisions in the Act to process the matter speedily, it becomes a problem. So I don't know how, Chairperson, but I think we should look closely at this one and ensure that we are able to assist the processes should at any point a board member is acting out of or out of line in any way. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
I was going to propose, I agree with you, Honorable Masiko. I was going to propose that a board member must be removed by the president. This thing of having hearings and what, just buying time. Looking at what has happened with CGE, a person has been paid for 2 years on suspension, not doing work of the CGE, but getting a full salary. So it's that on its own, it's a wasteful and a fruitless expenditure where a person is not there in the post, and then the person is getting paid every month, waiting for my trials, my hearings and hearings. I mean, I want us to deal with this one. A person must be taken out once and for all. I agree with you that maybe next week we need to discuss this one at length and as honorable members, and hear what other honorable members are saying. Yeah. We have bad experience with regard to this one.
Noted, Chair.
Yeah, because the people who are in the governance structure, they are not employees. It's different. Yeah, but the category where they are, it's different. So that person, you can imagine a person is suspended for almost 2 years, and then the term of office ends. It will mean what? That person has been there, but is not there. Yeah, so I think next week, let's deliberate. Our state law advisors and the legal people from Parliament, they must look at that. And next week, when we deliberate on it, on this matter, we resolve on it once and for all. DM, can I have your opinion also? Can you share your opinion also on this one?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I hear you very well. One, on the frustrations that we usually go through when this happens, people are suspended, but a lot of time in between the suspension and the conclusion of that matter is concerned. I also understand the experience that you all gone through the CGE process. Can't we then allow the state law advisors to further advise? Because for me, to an extent, it will take to the labor laws that are enshrined in our constitution. But also, having said so, also take into consideration the experiences that we have or we went through. So I would, as I agree with you, then suggest that let's embark on a further consultation so that when you take that decision, so the decision can be easily contested because it will be a balanced decision. That will be my take, Honorable Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, DM. Okay, Mr. Khanaka. Emmanuel.
Yes, Chair. No, I just taken down the document during the debate, the discussion, so that I can. Yeah, I was just loading it. Apologies for that.
Okay.
So I think the point is noted. If we can just continue. So I'm just doing the very final input from the South African Youth Council. So under subsection 10B, which reads that at any time a person has been convicted of theft, fraud, perjury, or an offense under the Prevention and Combating of the Corruption Act of 2004. I think it speaks about what are the reasons that a person can be removed from the board. They are saying that we need to add an addition that says that the person can be removed from the board if they've been convicted of a crime as specified in Schedule 45 or in Schedule 1 of the Criminal Procedure Act of 1977 and has been sentenced to a period of imprisonment for no less than 1 year without the option of a fine. Our response to this one is that
wait, Mr. Khanako, why do they choose the one Criminal Procedure Act of 1977? Was it not amended after democracy?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Chair. I don't want to lie.
We don't have to. Some of the apartheid things, no. Let's look at the updated one.
Yes, but I think our general comment on
sorry,
this one.
sorry, Chair.
Ma?
Yabona into lalela sithanda sami. Into ze-apartheid sicela singayibuyisi lana. Sikhuluma manje after sesikwinkululeko. Imithetho eyi-apply ngesikhathi apartheid asidingi. Ngiyabonga.
Ngiyabonga, ma. Thank you very much, Honorable Kaola. Nondumiso and the state law advisors and the legal team from Parliament, can you check what are they proposing here and look at what is currently working in terms of this Criminal Procedure Act of 1977? So that by okay, yeah. All right, Mr. Kanako.
Thank you, Chair. That is noted. If we can continue, so they are proposing that under Section 10, we must add that the person who is appointed to be a board member must be a South African citizen or ordinarily resident in the Republic. B, this is my bad. I didn't read for disqualification on the board or for removal on the board, if a person is not a South African or is an unrehabilitated insolvent or is a member of parliament or any other provincial legislature or municipal council, they must be removed from the board or not be allowed to serve on the board. So our response is that this is not entirely supported in a way, because the bill does make provision that South African citizens only can be part of the board. The act already, the Principal Act of 2008 already speaks about the issue of unrehabilitated insolvents. So we cannot include what is already in the bill.
Yeah. But it must be clear with South African citizens only.
Yes, Chair. So the last few inputs from the South African Youth Council were pertaining to the issue of committees, establishment of board committees. They are saying that we should outline each committee and also speak about the composition of each of the said committees. They are referring us to an example in Section 8(1) to 6 of the NDA Act of 1998. But our view is that we do not need to prescribe the composition of each of the committees. Our view is that the provisions that are there are sufficient, and they are also dynamic or agile enough to can allow the board to determine its own functions and its own board, at least some of those that are not already prescribed in other legislation like the PFMA, like an audit and risk committee. There has to be an audit and risk committee. So you cannot choose to not have it, even if you are whatever board you are. So we're saying that these clauses that are in the bill must be read in conjunction with other existing legislation.
Yeah, I think they can also establish any committee which they deem necessary for them. You know, like what we said in the GPV bill, that any committee that they want to establish, others, you don't need to prescribe to them, but now they know their needs. You know, they are the people who knows better which committee do they need, and some are temporary, are not permanent committees, but are there to serve certain activities, you know, So here we are not going to prescribe which committees, but I think what is prescribed from the Principal Act and what is proposed by the new bill, I think we are not fussy as the honorable members, as the portfolio committee members. Let them have what is necessary for as long as it is going to benefit young people and the institution itself.
That's correct, Chair. Thank you. So on section 12, they are suggesting that we delete the word management so that the committee reads as an executive committee. We are saying that that is already provided for in section 12(1)(a) of the bill. So this is covered. And then they are proposing that the subheadings, or if I can call them that, of removal from office and conflicts of interest be added in the bill. And we are saying in our response that removal of office is provided for in section 10 of the bill. And I think it's just the discussion that we just had now. And then section 7 of the Principal Act, as well as section 11 of the bill, speak to the issue of conflict of interest. So these are adequately covered in the legislation.
I think in terms of removal of from the office or disqualification, there was something that talks about curatorship. I'm not sure where now, but I think if you remember Honorable Masiko and Honorable Opperman, Honorable Mamhlengwa and Mam Kaula, Mam Sonti, Masondo, I think where it talks about insolvent and what was the new bill proposing, Mr. Kanak?
Unrehabilitated, insolvent.
The thing of curatorship.
Let me verify that, Chair. I think it's probably in the Principal Act.
Nondumiso nawa ukhumbula. I think myself, no Honorable Masiko, we said we want to ask the state law advisors about it.
I think we did say that, Honorable Chairperson, we should.
Chairperson?
Yebo, Dr. Penis.
Chairperson, good morning, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members, Deputy Minister,
Morning.
DG and colleagues. I just want to say that the one of a person who is placed under curatorship, we agreed that it will be part of the bill because it's not contained. It is not contained in the Principal Act.
That Dr. Penis is the one that we say myself. I'm raising now. That myself and Honorable Masiko, we wanted to ask the state law advisors and the legal team from Parliament whether is it proper that we put it in the new bill, because previously it was talking about unrehabilitated and insolvent person. So this time, you were proposing a person who was placed under a curatorship. So we wanted to check, Dr. Penis, whether it's okay or maybe we're too harsh or whatever.
Harriet is
Dr.
here.
Penis?
Yeah, thanks, Chairperson. Harriet is here is here in the platform, but it was supported. Oh, Lisa, I can see Lisa. Okay, let me allow her to talk.
But oh, Lisa, yes, Lisa, you can speak.
Lisa, Miss Naidoo.
Morning, Chairperson. I'm having a bit of connectivity issues. Morning, honorable members and members of the department. With this clause, it's standard with all boards across our legislation. So those are usually the inputs or the clause that we use when we do disqualifications. If you're insolvent, unrehabilitated insolvent, if you're under curatorship, if you have unsound mind, it's a standard provision, especially when you have a board member who's in a fiduciary duty and acting as a director. So that was the rationale, to standardize it with other agencies in government. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you very much, Lisa. So we're done with it. Honorable members, Mamhlangwa. Mamhlangwa.
Yes, Chair.
uLisa uzama ukusinceda lana, siyavuma naye.
Yeah, siyavumelana. I concur.
Okay, Mamkhawula, Mamsonti.
Chair, ngiyabonga, siyavumelana.
Okay. Honorable Opperman.
Chairperson, I concur with the last explanation given. I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Masondo.
Yes, Chair, I concur with them.
Okay, thank you very much, honorable members. We are done with this one. We are agreeing.
Sorry, Chair. Ukuthi sengizophelelwa isikhathi. Ikhona labo ukhulume khona ngodaba luka la lo CGE mhlambe lo osuspendiwe uthola ukuthi suspendiwe kodwa uyahola. Ngingajabula mangabe next week Tuesday siyalibheka udaba lakhe ngoba kuzokwenza ukuthi bonke abantu benza ama mistake ngoba bayazi bazosuspendwa kodwa still bakhokhe bahola. And imali yabakhokhi bentela lena. Yilokho bengifuna ukuthi nami ngicizelele lapho ngifake isipikili ukuthi lolu daba ngoba ngazi why lubambe isikhathi esingaka lo muntu ehola kodwa suspendiwe. Bangaka abantu angabe bangenile kule position yabo bezokwenza lo msebenzi. Ngiyabonga, Chair. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Kaula. And that's what I was making example ngayo yona le CGE. And next week, our state law advisors and the legal team, Abonom Dumiso, we need to find each other on this one. We need to take a decision next week. Harriet, ngiyakubona isandla sakho siphezulu. Harriet?
Yes, Chair. Chair, I think in light of what was agreed upon in the meeting, that the act right now is under Schedule 3A. I wanted to find out what are the implications of the act now not being a Schedule 1 in terms of the executive. Are the executive in the employ under Schedule 3 permanent or non-permanent? My understanding is that they are always on a fixed term contract. I thought maybe that also we could look into. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. They are not permanent.
Yes.
They are on a fixed term. We are on the term of office about 3 years.
Yes.
They are executive for 3 years.
Yes.
They must reapply if they have interest. And in the new term, any other person can be appointed as the chair and the deputy chair. It does not compel the president to reappoint them if Abon Wuti Mhlambe is not satisfied in terms of their performance in the previous term.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair.
Yeah. Maybe let me try to update honorable members on the one CGE. The ones, there's a motion. I don't know when are we going to deal with the motion of removing the said commissioner. I think it was supposed to be presented yesterday. Honorable Masiko, it was supposed to be presented yesterday or tomorrow, next week.
We will be presenting it next week, Honorable Chairperson.
Yeah. So we are going to deal with it, honorable members. Whether we say an ad hoc committee must be established or we take it as the portfolio committee for a removal of that commissioner. So next week we will be finalizing that part, honorable members, so that we don't find ourselves again in this kind of a situation, SCGE. Okay, Mr. Kanaka.
Chair.
Mamsonti.
Ndiyabulela Chair, ndibulise ikomiti, ndibulise department. Ndiyabulela Chair xa ukune-follow up malunga nalo baba umama uKhawula akhuluma ngayo. Really, it's not right. As you remember, besikhulumile ngayo last. So ndiyavuya kakhulu ke bendisazibuza ukuthi iphelelaphi ithini, because you promised us ukuthi no uzothetha nama advisors ukuthi bayilandelele kakuhle le ndaba. So I just want to highlight that we say thank you to you, Chairperson, for the follow up. Thank you so much. About your commissioner.
Thank you, ma.
CGE. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Sebo. We should finally sit down in your fast, because we'll be closing for not December, so I'm not sure, but we'll plan with how are we going to deal with it. Ngoba senzanale bill NYDA. We'll plan, we'll see how do we do it, whether it's to speaker appointed ad hoc committee.
And he must pay back that money also. He must pay back. It's a lot.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mam Sonti. Mr. Kanaka.
Thank you, Chair, Honorable Chair. The last comment we have then from South African Youth Council was a general question where they were asking, how is the NYDA CEO accountable to the board? What are the specifics around the relationship between the board and the CEO? And they're saying that the bill needs to outline this relationship. So we've said in our response that in Section 13 of the Act, which is not amended, by the way, the duties of the CEO are outlined in much detail. And the Act, even the bill, also provides for the NYDA CEO to be an ex officio member of the board without voting rights. And it also says that the CEO has to consult the board on strategic issues that relate to the agency. So that relationship, we believe, is adequately outlined in the provisions of the Principal Act and the bill, Chair. Thank you.
No, it's okay.
All right. So that was the end of that particular submission. I'm on page 26 of 50. There's an individual called Stefina Sevela, who also made her input on the bill. I'll just also touch on them briefly. The first one was on Section 11 of the Act, where they were saying that, which reads it's on the bill, which reads that if a board member fails to disclose any interest as required by subsection 7 of the bill, where he or she is present at the venue of the meeting, where a board meeting that is, or participates in proceedings of the board, the relevant proceedings of that board meeting shall be regarded as null and void. So they are raising an issue of consequence management for that board member, and also the time of the board that was willfully wasted by such a board member. So we are saying that the details of the disclosure policy will be part of the NYDA's policies. That's number one, which means that the NYDA's policies will speak about issues of what happens to a member who does not declare, etc. In addition, the bill speaks about these issues as a misconduct. So if a member does not disclose their interests, that is regarded as misconduct already. So I think in terms of what we believe, then this provision that are there in the bill are adequate enough to can circumvent some of the issues that are being proposed in the bill, or which the member is saying needs to be considered in the bill. So if you look at our second comment there, we say that under subsection 10.2 of the bill, where there is a misconduct of this nature, there will be consequences which are not limited to removal from the board, which means that there can be an attempt. I'm trying to find the right English, but to recover funds as well, if there's been losses as a result of the member and not doing the right disclosure. The second submission from the colleague here, Ms. Sevilla, was on the age of 18 to 35. They're saying that the bill must not be specific to the age, but must rather be specific to knowledge and skills and qualification. This, we are saying that it can do both. Young people don't get many opportunities to serve on boards, and this board of the NYDA needs to be a youthful board. So we need to balance those two variables. So we are not supporting this input. So I think on another input was a criticism on their part, which we believe comes from a misunderstanding of what this is trying to communicate. So under at the end of the bill, we speak about the department and the state law advisor agree that this bill needs to be a section 75, I think, yeah, section 75 bill. So they understood that to mean that nobody else is to be consulted on the bill. It's only the department and the state law advisor. So they do give their view on that point. So our response is that we have consulted on the bill, and the fact that they are also writing in is because Parliament is consulting on the bill. So there is no attempt by anybody to want to push out certain voices and only focus on the department and state law advisor. So I think it was just a misunderstanding there. There's also Keegan Adams from Activate who wrote in. They identified a typing error on the bill, which is regretted and has been amended and fixed. But they're also saying that the board term must be reduced to 2 years. And we are saying in response, we don't support that because the majority of the public is in favor of a 3-year term. And we believe that the 2-year term will be extremely short and will lead to too much instability in the organization and also affect young people themselves negatively. Chair. Then there was also an input from the Western Cape government, the Office of the Premier in this case. They made comments that are general, but also some that speak to specific clauses. I will try and touch on a few. They were proposing that there is a need for the agency to establish its presence in the rural areas, which we support and agree to. But we are also saying that Section 1B of the bill provides for this. So we are on the same page. They are saying that the bill must also make provision for collaboration with partners at various levels. So we're saying that we acknowledge the input, but we believe that the provisions in the bill are sufficient because the bill speaks about collaboration as well. But we know that the operational strategy of the agency also is dependent on collaborations with government, civil society, and other agencies, including multinational organizations.
In fact, they must come on board a provincial government as a Western Cape and assist and contribute to the NYDA programs. It's a pity that maybe we haven't checked with the NYDA on whether they do contribute in their programs or not contributing. First of all, I think, is it Western Cape that was struggling with an office, or is it Eastern Cape? NYDA? Alexandra? Alexandra? Anyone from NYDA?
Good morning, Chair.
Yes.
We are in the meeting. I would just need to confirm, but we can say that in the Eastern Cape we do have working offices that are efficient. We'll just have to confirm if perhaps it could have been the Western Cape, but we also do have a regional office as well in the Western Cape, as well as other districts in the Western Cape. But we'll just confirm to make a certain submission on the matter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, my hand is up.
Okay, Honorable Masiko.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Chair, I wanted to fully agree with you on the matter of the a partnership with all provincial governments, in fact, because we do understand that in other provinces, there are funds that the provincial government has set aside for youth development, and they actually have funds. I know in the Eastern Cape, there's a fund of about 30 million. So is the case in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And I know that NYDA has partnered with those provincial governments. I think it's something that we should encourage, Chairperson, for all the provincial governments, including the Western Cape. Because there's a saying that says you should put your money where your mouth is. And that's where it should start, where we do encourage. Because the presence of the NYDA in the rural outskirts of our communities, given the current constraints in terms of financial resources that is allocated to the NYDA, it means that the local governments as well as the provincial governments must come on board in terms of funding some of the offices so that the citizens of those provinces are able to receive the full benefits of the NYDA, given the current resource challenges that is being faced. So I would encourage, Chairperson, in supporting you that we are able to engage further with the provincial premiers, not only the Western Cape, but others where we find that the provincial government is not coming on board in terms of ensuring that the NYDA is able to reach, the rural areas in its full capacity and complement. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Kanako, I think this one, it needs to be captured correct, so that they must see it as an obligation, not as a by the way. We must find a way on capturing it as an obligation.
Yeah, noted, Chair. Actually, there is a specific area of inquiry from them on some of the provisions in the bill as it pertains to how they can partner or assist the agency. So I'm going to get to that point very soon.
All right.
For now, their second input is that they feel that the bill requires language editing and formatting, and that the Commonwealth Conventions on Legislative Drafting apply to all forms of legislation, including bills. And they're saying that some of the errors or problematic drafting practices contained in the bill include the use of the word shall here and there in the bill, and then we are conceding to some of these things. We are saying that in conjunction with the legislative drafters, both in Parliament and in the Office of Chief State Law Advisor, we will attend to all the editorial changes that are required in the bill, Chair.
Okay.
Now, the other input, a large section of this input under clause 1, Chair, speaks to how the youth policy is defined, right, in the bill. So this whole section here speaks to that. And then they end up also making, based on their own proposal, they also make different proposals for how the bill must be reworked, how the policy must be defined in the bill. For example, they categorize the youth policy as a policy adopted by the Department of Women and Youth and Persons with Disabilities, and they want it to reflect as such in the bill. We view this as incorrect. The National Youth Policy is not a departmental policy for DWYPD. It is a government policy adopted by cabinet for all of society. So obviously, even at that level, we are saying that then means that we cannot effect that particular change. So I don't want to read all of these sentences, but essentially they are saying that we must redefine the national youth policy as a departmental policy, and then therefore that will have other implications. And then they are also saying that we must define the department as the Department of Women, Youth, and Persons with Disabilities, which is also not ideal. It's actually not advisable to do that. We define the department as the department responsible for youth, so that even if it moves to Department of Energy and Youth, or Department of Youth and Education, or Department of Sports and Youth, or Youth, Sports and Culture, it doesn't require the legislation to then be amended as well. So no matter where the function is, the act will still be valid. So we are also saying we cannot support that particular proposal, that we define the department as the Department of Women, Youth, and Persons with Disabilities.
Yeah, because youth development lies with NYTA, and I think let's keep the mandate of the Department of Women as is, and not amend it through this process, NYTA. And I think the other challenge is some people, they think in National Youth Policy, it replaces the NYTA, but it doesn't. They have two different objectives. If my memory serves me well, it's a pity I don't have it now. But I think we need not to mix what the National Youth Policy say it does and what the NYTA is doing. I think I'm agreeing with you, Mr. Khanach.
Thank you, Chair. So another clause where there's an input is on clause 2, and they're saying that there must be consultation. They're saying that provincial and regional conditions differ throughout South Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
if
we include...
Mr. Khanya. Hello, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Masiko.
I'm sorry, I kept on pressing here. My phone froze. But I wanted Chairperson to further add to what you have just said, as well as Mr. Khanya, that in terms of the naming of the department itself, including what it is termed in terms of the terminology, it is the prerogative of the sitting president at that time, Chairperson, because you do find that it evolves, it changes. At some point, you'll find that it's probably women, youth, and children, women, youth, persons with disabilities, women and youth. So, Chairperson, I am in agreement with that.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Kanako.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you to the honorable member as well. So they were saying that the object of an obligation on the agency to contribute to initiation, design, and piloting of programs in collaboration with organs of state must take consideration of regional conditions and provincial conditions, and there must be consultations as well. So we are saying that that is correct. The issue of consultations is acknowledged, and already the bill makes this, brings this into effect by speaking about collaboration. Obviously, collaboration is not a one-way street. It's a process that starts with engagement and consultation. It moves to agreement, joint planning, joint implementation, and joint evaluation. So we believe this is adequately catered for. On their input regarding the integrated youth development strategy, we are saying that we have defined the IYDS. We put a definition in the bill that speaks to the integrated strategy so that it is clear what is the strategy and what is the policy. So there is one here which speaks about, they're asking, there is no indication on the bill as to who is going to be responsible for determining the youth development priorities. So already, I think we know that there's a minister, of course, and the deputy minister responsible for youth development in the country. Those are the principals responsible for youth development. They have got the responsibility to determine what is it that is youth development priority for the country, which is something that can then be communicated by the president during the state SONA, State of the Nation address, which then all of us as a sector had to then follow through with. But in our response, we are also saying that there is an upcoming bill that is an overarching bill that speaks to youth development in general, which will be consulted properly with the sector in due course when the time is right.
Chairperson, my hand is up.
Yes, sorry, my mic was off. You can speak, Honorable Opperman.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to go back to the bottom of slide 33. At the bottom speaks about something about the Employment Equity Act. Can the department or can NIDA just clarify that for me, please? What does that new phrase mean? The old in the Principal Act, it stated that the agency endeavors to promote the interests of the youth, particularly young people with disabilities, and it's now removed and been replaced with the phrase particularly youth who fall within the designated groups contemplated in the Employment Equity Act. Can you just clarify for me what does that mean? Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Mr. Kanako? NYDA, you can also respond to this one. CEO.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I think I'd have to just look closer at the wording, but I think it would reflect that in the programs that are executed by the agency, as well as in terms of the agency's employment mandate as far as its staff requirement goes, you would reflect the employment equity targets of the country, which is published on an annual basis by the Department of Labor in light of what statistics South Africa produces in terms of employment and unemployment outcomes in the country. So, of course, we know that Black Africans are far more affected by unemployment, followed by coloreds, for example. So I think that section just gives a reflection on the fact that groups which are more vulnerable and more marginalized in nature should be given priority, both in terms of programs of the agency, as well as in terms of the employment mandate of the organization. Thanks, Chair.
Chairperson, can I have a follow up for clarity, please?
Yes.
I want to know the explanation was just given to me. Does that mean, in essence, now that there will be favor on the basis of skin color? Thank you, Chair.
CEO.
Yes, Chair. So I think the answer to that would be yes, simply because South Africa has adopted a strategy of correcting historical injustices of the past, right? In which we know Black Africans, coloreds, were marginalized in previous regimes. And that's why employment equity targets in the country, government programs are targeted towards historically disadvantaged individuals. And in the current context of the NYDA, but also larger government, that redress element finds its way into different policies of the country, including the NYDA Act. Thank you, Chair.
So a youth with disability is accommodated with this, according to the Employment Equity Act of 1998.
Yes, Chairperson. But people with disabilities must be accommodated via the Employment Equity Act, yes. And one is required to report those statistics to the Department of Labor on an annual basis, yeah?
If I may ask CEO, without looking at your institution alone, are you able to advocate for young people living with disability to be employed, whether by public sector or private sector? As NYDA.
Yes, Chair. So I think we need to look at this from firstly a broader government perspective, right? The country, through the Department of Employment and Labor, which has the mandate and the policy for employment and labor in the country, sets employment equity targets. Every single company is required to submit an employment equity plan to the Department of Employment and Labor on an annual basis, right? And then the Department of Labor then audits your performance against that employment equity plan. I mean, on an annual basis, you'll see when the employment equity report is published by the Department of Employment and Labor, you'll see a number of companies either being fined or taken to task because the employment equity numbers that they've committed to, they've not been able to achieve those. Yeah, and then that results in some level of fines that the department is able to levy to get people to start complying with the required laws in the country. But then if we filter that down to the NYDA, we take the approach of course, like you say, lobbying and advocating for inclusive hiring of young people, including youth with disabilities, across private sector, public sector, civil society in the country. But further on from that, helping companies to be able to achieve what they want to achieve, right? So we would go to a JSE listed company, for example, and we would say to them, where are you struggling with recruitment? Because sometimes what we find is that companies are well intentioned, but they are unable to execute because they might not have the right access or they might not have the right visibility. And we say to them, of course, we keep databases of young people who are unemployed graduates, who are unemployed young people living with disabilities, who've been through skills development programs, so we can help you achieve what your employment equity target. So I'd say our intervention exists at two levels. It's the lobby and advocacy level, but it's also supporting private sector and public sector in actually implementing inclusive hiring for young people. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. DG?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to add to what the CEO has just said. Even the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities monitors government, and we submit an annual report to Cabinet based on the white paper on the rights of persons with disabilities. The white paper on the rights of persons with disabilities sets the target for employment of persons with disabilities at 7%, unlike the 2% by the Employment Equity Act. It sets it at 7% by 2030. So when we submitted the report to Cabinet, last Cabinet committee last week, and the Cabinet took a decision on Wednesday this week, we requested that for public service, the target for 2024-2025 must be increased to 3%. Every year it will be increased. For example, 25-26, it must be increased to 4%, so that by 2030 we can achieve the 7%, but that is required by the white paper or white paper on rights of persons with disabilities. Cabinet has approved that, but not only that. The president, when he was speaking, he also indicated that all government public service must no longer wait for advertising for persons with disabilities, because government is still at 1.47. Government must headhunt persons with disabilities for employment. Yeah. This is why private sector is doing better than government. Private sector is not hindered by the laws that government has to follow. Private sector just goes out and appoint persons with disabilities. So the president has given that instruction that public sector must no longer wait for, yes, they will advertise, but where they realize that when they advertise, they can't find persons with disabilities, they must headhunt, they must go out and find those persons. But also he has changed that we must report quarterly, no longer an annual report on the white paper. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Thanks, DG, for that information. I think there are civil society organizations that are dealing with persons with disabilities, and they've got skills. You know, those people, it's only that they are being overlooked. Most of the time, they are they are made to follow processes like any other person, which is sometimes very much unfair for them. And in some instances, you know, I heard a story from some persons with disabilities saying, in fact, they are not even if they do qualify and they have performed well in some interviews, but because some officials, they don't like them, they don't even hire them. You know, it was a very sad story that was shared with me. So I think moving forward, the Department of Women will monitor if all departments and entities, and including private local and provincial governments, if they are implementing what the president have just said. Thank you, DG. Mr. Kanaka, we can continue. Mr. Khanaf.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Without any waste of time, there's an input here from
Uzosidla
the...
ngaso isikhathi ngithe ukuziclustera lezi zinto lezi.
Yeah, the thing is that they are different in a way.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just trying to save time. So I think the issue of the object of the agency has been raised many times, Chair. I think they are also raising it. It was raised even by the South African Youth Council. For example, here they were saying that the agency must evaluate and monitor all programs aimed at integrating youth into the society. So this one, we are saying that the NYDA cannot be expected to monitor all of government on its own.
Yeah, hi.
There's a role that the WIPD can play. There's a role that the DPME also can play. Even Parliament itself has got a role of oversight. So we cannot then just burden the agency alone with that particular broad mandate. I will try and just rush through here. So they wanted a definition of what is economic transformation. We are saying that it is defined in the National Youth Policy. I don't think we need to define it in the bill. The issue of policy, I won't touch on it again. It's been discussed and agreed. The issue of the National Youth Fund, they're saying that there is insufficient detail around what is the fund, which, by the way, coincidentally, the fund is already in the Principal Act. It was there in the Principal Act. So it's also then something that we think it did not change in a way at this point. They are proposing a language change of, amongst others, we're saying we agree with them, we'll rephrase it as such under paragraph C. And then let me just summarize it here quickly to say that they are saying that the agency must provide training regarding concepts and principles of youth, etc., etc. So this is one of the functions that are being merged into a much more streamlined list.
Yeah.
So we're saying that these responsibilities are in line with the National Youth Policy, and then they're being refined as such. So there are also other general comments where they're saying the issue of norms and standards, for example, what is the norms and standards? They're asking that question. So I think they will see when the response is published that we do explain what the norms and standards are. It's essentially, they're aimed at ensuring that all young people across South Africa can expect and receive a similar type of service and program in terms of what the youth sector is delivering. So we won't define them in the bill because they are not a large component of what the agency needs to do. They speak to this one. I think maybe I can speak to in limited terms. They are saying that the NYS is being implemented across society, right? So they're saying that the agency should use its proposed coordinating role to align and learn lessons from various NYS programs instead of shutting down existing mechanisms to implement the program. So on our side, we disagree with an assumption that the bill is trying to disincentivize or shut down other programs that are NYS related. We agree that the NYS is a shared responsibility, and the NYDA will be implementing the program and coordinating it in collaboration with others, as is provided for in section 3. They are proposing addition of different objectives and measurable targets in the functions of the agency. We are saying that we cannot put targets in the legislation. We cannot say that 10,000 young people must be trained in the law, because what happens once you reach the 10,000? You cannot change the law again to now say 20,000. So we are saying that the provisions are sufficient as they speak to the principle of training. And then the targets can be anywhere else in the operational plans or strategic plans. Under amendment of Section 6, Chair, where we're responding here to say to them that in terms of our reference to the PFMA, the intention is just to refer to the bill, right? To the act, the existing PFMA, I mean. So this is obviously the act which prescribes where the various heads of the different schedule and the different entities report to. They report to a minister, for example. So we refer to the PFMA, and we will refer to the PFMA even in the bill, so that people understand where the powers or the responsibility comes from. That Section 6 as well speaks about the status of youth report, which is a unique contribution here. It stands alone in terms of what the agency has to deliver. So that status of youth report will remain in the bill as well. They are making a proposal here to say that the status of youth report, the bill must speak as to when the status of youth report will be published, so that there is reasonable time included to promote accountability and transparency. So in our response is that we don't support the inclusion of reasonable time. Currently, the bill already speaks about the fact that the minister must table the status of youth report. And then we're saying that the NYDA is subject to financial reporting as well as per the PFMA. And the board is a component of the agency, hence it is noted in this manner. There's clause 5. They're saying that it is unclear why the responsibilities of organs of state relating to their planning and reporting has been deleted from their principal act. And I think briefly here, we're saying that in response, the NYDA is working with organs of state across provinces and at national and provincial levels to implement various initiatives. So the bill is not intending to make it mandatory for organs of state to fund the agency. So when we read this input, it felt as if if you look at what I've highlighted now, the feeling from the authors of the input was that the intention of the clause is to make it compulsory for provinces to fund the agency. So we are trying to clarify that that is not the case, Chair and Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. It touches again on that issue of integrated intergovernmental relations framework, the principle of collaboration and working together to achieve the common good, in this instance being youth development. So we are not in any way trying to push for provinces to fund the agency. It's not even possible. So I'm going to move to amendment of Section 8. They're proposing that the operational plan should be determined on an annual basis, and we agree with them that this will be corrected. Of course, we know that the operational policies of the agency fall under the framework for strategic and annual plans. So it can also be removed from the bill because it's already a provision that stands. The agency has to report on its annual plans and strategic plans to Parliament as well. They want us to add a definition that speaks to an agency charter. And I think we agree with them that we can add that definition as proposed. They're also saying that the word governance should not be capitalized. We don't understand why that is being proposed, because the word is right at the beginning of a sentence, and it cannot be a small letter. So we are saying that as such, we'll keep it as a capital letter there. Some of the input were in relation to clause 7. They're saying that there is a sort of a confusing of terms. There are times where we say director, ex officio members, and members of the board when referring to members of the board in general. So we are saying that in response, the confusion will be clarified. However, we've also defined what an ex officio member is in the bill. So once they get access to the refined bill, they will see that the ex officio members are defined. So they were asking what is a non-executive director as well. So of course, we do explain what that means in the text. So they're asking that the proposed amendment must clarify whether the ex officio members of the board are executive directors, which we explained that no, this is not the case. And then they're saying that we must consider expanding the age from 18 to 35, of 18 to 35 to 25 to 39, so that you can have a more experienced pool, which we do not agree with. This is an issue that has been discussed at length. We will keep the age at 18 to 35 with the issue of qualifications, skills, and experience also included. We agree with them to say that under section 9, subsection 4, the bill must read that members must broadly reflect the demographics and geographical spread of the Republic. We accept that. The issue of governance processes being strengthened to include tertiary degree requirements relating to various skill sets. We're saying that the bill already makes provision for this, including law, including finance. So there's no need to take further action there. They're saying that we must amend the word responsibilities to functions to align with the rest of the act. We agree with that point. They're saying that on the issue of temporary appointments, we must clarify how long any interim board must be in place for. We are saying that it is in place. We are saying for 6 months in the bill. Chairperson, I'm entering the last 8 pages of the document, so shouldn't be too long. They are repeating the issue of director versus member, and I think this is something that we've already considered too, and we will work on with the legislative drafters. So they're asking for a reason. They're saying that the bill needs to explain why there is a high rate of resignations or mass resignations, and
From
that
where?
this should be investigated on the board. On the board. So the current bill is saying if there are mass resignations, then this is what must happen. So we are saying that, of course, the bill does not need to explain. Exactly. The bill cannot.
When they join parliament, they resigned from the board and become members of parliament.
Yes.
So there's no mass resignation lab.
So it's also public knowledge as well.
Looking for greener pastures. So that one, I see no there. I won't do that. Yeah, when
they're saying that all the committees referred to in the King 4 Code of Corporate Governance should be mandatory and should be listed as that as such. And I think it goes back to that other input we got from the other stakeholders, which was saying that the bill must establish this committee, that committee. So we don't agree with that input. And the board will have a discretion to create committees that are necessary for its functions. Most of what is coming out here, Chair, is not is a reference to the Umsobomvu Youth Fund, the Demutualization Levy Act of 1998, etc., which spoke to the transitional arrangements of the Act of 2008. So they are going back and forth there in terms of this and that around those two issues. But our simple response is that the funds from the Umsobomvu were a transitional arrangement for the NYDA to be formed. Now they're no longer necessary in the new bill because we don't have that fund anymore. Then there's an input that we agree with to say organ of state must be organs of state. We concur. We will action that under clause 14F. They're speaking about the issue of ethnicity being included under section 4 of the bill. We're saying that section 4 has been substituted, so it is no longer there. That is the end in terms of the Western Cape government. The last 6 pages will briefly speak to the Black Management Forum in Gauteng, which also made some input, including on section 3 of the Act. And I think we've really engaged with section 3, but we'll just acknowledge that the principles, the Principal Act, of course, has got a list of objects and functions, and those are being reviewed in terms of what the bill is saying. So we take on board their comment. They're proposing that there must be a platform for members of the public to participate in the economy. We agree, and we're saying that all the concepts that they are raising, employability, education, training, and empowerment, are already included in the bill. So the proposal is covered. Some of the other input as well are already covered in the bill, including the issue of partnering with state organizations and NGOs. They're already in the bill. What we don't agree with them on is their proposal that initiate and monitor and evaluate programs directed at poverty alleviation, urban and rural development, and combating substance abuse and social decay, etc. So specifically the elements of rural development and urban decay, something like that. We cannot put that mandate on the NYDA if we know that there is already a Department of Rural Development. So we are already saying in the bill that organs of state must work with the agency, and the agency must collaborate with the private sector and others. So this is already catered for. We cannot mandate the agency to ensure that there's rural development in South Africa. The issue of databases, I think it's also an issue that was raised by the committee to say that that issue must remain. A database of youth employment opportunities must remain in the bill. We have resolved as such, and we will do so. We also respond generically to say that there are online platforms that exist, which the NYDA is also a contributor to, including the sayouth.mobi, and I think it is the website of the agency. I think it's a website which is also 0 rated to allow for much more easier and affordable online interaction with the agency. So that is covered. They are saying that we must provide unemployed youth training for unemployed youth to enhance their participation in the economy. We agree with this in principle, of course, and we are also saying that training and capacity building are already included in the bill. And then on the status of youth, they are saying that the status of youth must be done every year. We disagree with them. To say that the status of youth is but one report. You also have a quarterly labor force survey. You've got quarterly reports by the agency where they report to the portfolio committee on a quarterly basis, including their annual reports, which would show progressively how trends in one or other variable are moving. So we cannot agree to the status of youth report being done every single year. And then they are saying that they do not agree with the substitution of Section 7, specifically on the issue of organs of state. But we are saying we don't support their view because the bill focuses on the establishment of the agency and cannot regulate functions of other organs of state. We don't support their proposal that the Umsobo Youth Fund should remain in the bill because the Umsobo Youth Fund was the funding of the fund, was a transitional amendment provision that is not possible or useful now. So they also make a lot of general clauses here, Chairperson and Honorable Chairperson and members, saying that the NYDA should create monthly advertising, the NYDA should make township economy attractive. South Africa is a rich country. And then business plans NYDA must allow young people to submit business plans in all the 11 official languages, which all of them we think they are valid points. Some of them are operational issues that the NYDA will have to consider, and we are referring these issues to the NYDA. But we don't think that the amendment bill must make provision for some of those things, like even saying that the NYDA must do door-to-door, etc. We cannot include those things in the bill, Chair. They are also raising the issue of complaints at the NYDA, that there must be an anonymous platform, and we're saying that there is a platform for complaints, but also if the complaints are criminal in nature, there is an anonymous line in the subs which members of the public can utilize. So the last page is just two more members of the public, Mr. Elias Meyua Namotseni, who just simply said, I do not support the bill, and there was no comment. And then there was also an Annalisa Kepe, who did not make any comment on the provisions of the bill, but I think they're saying that they appreciate everything and they are looking forward for all of the best. So I think then that is noted, Chairperson. That is all from our side as it pertains to all of the responses that were received, both orally as well as in written format that were shared with us by the Portfolio Committee. I pause. Over to you, Chair. Over to you. I think you're still muted.
Emmanuel, are you done?
Yes, Chairperson, I have finished with the 50-page document of public comments. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm handing over back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, honorable members. I think that was the purpose of today's meeting, for us to finalize all the submissions. And you have also included most the oral submissions, and it, Emmanuel, when you were doing your presentation.
Yes, sir, we have done so. Luckily, all of those that made oral submission had also made written submissions. So we were able to triangulate and include all of those. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, honorable members. I think we have come to the end of our meeting because we are going to deliberate on these on this bill on Tuesday. Today's meeting was specifically for us to finalize the submissions. Am I correct, Nelly, sir? Am I correct, Nelly?
Yes, Chair, you're correct.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Thank you, DM. Thank you, DG. Thank you, Dr. Penis and your team. Thank you, NYDA Deputy Chair Karabo, the CEO, Mr. Ndlela. At least you are relieved early to go and attend the other function where you are supposed to be today. We have come to the end of this meeting. Oh, thank you, Alexandra. I called you and you ran away. I wanted you to respond on the issue of offices in the Western Cape, whether NYDA does have offices in the Western Cape, and you ran away. But thank you very much, honorable members. Have a nice weekend. God bless you. See you Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Honorable
Thank
Chair.
you, Chair. Same to you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I
Same
got
to
cut.
you.
I got
Thank
cut
you,
towards the end. I've just
Chairperson.
joined.
Okay, thank you, DM.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Chair.
Enjoy the weekend.
Same to
Same
you.
to you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.